April 11th, North Korea's Kim Jong-un orders his army generals to be ready for war. This comes after 2 years of intense ballistic missile tests.
North Korea, since January, announced that South Korea is the enemy state and that it has abandoned all hopes of peaceful reunification.
At the same time, Pyongyang is drawing closer to an older friend.
I think an interesting development has been close cooperation between Russia and North Korea. And this is the convergence of mutual interest.
Why is Kim sounding war drums on the Korean peninsula?
북한도 이제는 남한이 주적이다. 이렇게 하면서 맞받아치는 양상으로 되어 있습니다.
And is time running out for those separated by 7 decades of conflict?
우리 나이는 이제 얼마 안 남았고 또 지금 전부 뭐 병들고 뭐
Yeonpyeong Island, 80 kilometers off the western coast of South Korea. The streets are quiet today, but Song Young-ok is busy. The 62-year-old runs a bed and breakfast with her husband, and she's expecting guests soon. Spring is here, and the warmer weather will see the return of visitors to the sleepy island, which has some 1,800 residents.
보통 단체가 오게 되면 보통 20명에서 30명 뭐 이렇게 오기도 하고 아니면 이제 여기는 관광도 관광이지만 여기는 이제 출장 인원들이 많아요. 여기 이제 뭐 관공서도 있고 군부대도 있고 이렇게 여러 가지 이렇게 있다 보니까 그 유지 관리 해야 될 것들도 있고 하기 때문에 출장 인원들이 좀 많은 편이에요. 연평도는.
Why would this 6-square-kilometer island in the Yellow Sea interest South Korean government and the military? You see, Yeonpyeong is not just another idyllic island paradise. On a clear day, if residents look north, they can get a glimpse of a hostile neighbor some 10 kilometers away, North Korea. Just 3 months ago, emergency sirens blared across the island. On January 5th, North Korea fired more than 200 artillery shells into the sea near Yeonpyeong. Residents were ordered to evacuate to the 10 emergency shelters dotted throughout the island.
보지는 않았고 아주 멀리서 간접적으로 살짝 들리긴 했어요. 그러니까 자기네 그쪽 해상 쪽에서 아마 훈련을 한 것 같아요. 그러니까 하던 일들을 다 멈추고, 그러니까 일상생활이 마비게 됐던 거죠. 모든 주민들 모두 거의 많은 사람들이. 그래서 일상생활이 잠깐 멈춰 있었어요.
55-year-old Choi Ok-sun runs a restaurant in Yeonpyeong, serving a local blue crab delicacy. The waters in the Yellow Sea are among the world's richest for the crustacean. Having lived on the island for more than 40 years, Choi is familiar with the evacuation drills. Where to run to, what to bring.
뭐 많아요. 필요한 건 다 있어요. 이거 뭐 이런 거 일회용 변기, 뭐 추울 때 딱 하는 손 따뜻하게 하는 핫팩, 그리고 이거 뭐야 라디오, 마스크, 방독면식으로 쓰는 거, 물통. 당장 뭐 저기 들고 나가면 이제 우선 필요한 거.
The residents of Yeonpyeong had enjoyed a period of relative quiet during the pandemic, when North Korean missile tests dropped in frequency. In 2019, North Korea fired off some 20 missile tests, a combination of short, medium, and long-range projectiles. In 2020, when COVID-19 hit, this fell to 8 tests. In 2021, another 8 tests.
we had a COVID period during which North Korea completely shut down its borders with neighboring countries. So there was a quiet period that North Korea decided not to conduct any nuclear or missile tests. And then as we came out of the COVID period, North Korea just resumed, right, its missile tests.
Then, missile testing returned with a vengeance. In 2022, North Korea broke its own annual record, conducting more than 90 missile tests. It followed that up with 33 tests in 2023. In November that year, the country also sent its first spy satellite in orbit. Then in December, Pyongyang conducted its fifth intercontinental ballistic missile test, the Hwaseong-18, capable of reaching American targets. This January, Kim Jong-un supervised the first flight test of a new solid-fuel intermediate-range missile that it said was tipped with a hypersonic warhead. What the flurry of tests in the last 2 years demonstrated is a steady advancement of North Korean technology.
즉 미사일 기습 능력이 탁월해진 것이죠. 그래서 최근에 보여준 북극성 미사일이라든가 또 일부 ICBM 미사일은 고체 연료를 사용하고 있다는 데 대해서 서방이 심각한 위협으로 바라보고 있는 부분이고.
By mid-February this year, North Korea had conducted its sixth missile test for 2024. It has also conducted multiple live-firing exercises, including the January 5th artillery near Yeongpyeong. For the residents of the island, it is more than just sound and fury. The threat is real. In November 2010, North Korean forces fired artillery shells and rockets at the island, causing widespread damage. The South returned fire.
다친 사람들은 뭐 조금씩 이제 뭐 넘어지거나 뭐 여기 이제 뭐 파편 그쪽에 충격 받은 사람들 조금 있었어요. 다친 거 피해 입은 거는 없고 집들이 거의 그때 뭐 포 소리에 뭐 덜썩했어요. 그래갖고 이런 충격 받아서 집이 좀 많이 흔들렸어요. 흔들려가지고 뭐 이런 저기 욕실에 뭐 타일 같은 거 이런 거는 좀 다 떨어지고 유리 깨지고 뭐 이런 거는 있었어요.
In that 2010 exchange of fire, 2 soldiers and 2 civilians were killed in Yeongpyeong. In total, it's estimated that between 4 and 20 people were killed on both sides, and some 50 others wounded.
그리고 이 10년도 포격나기 이전에는 연평도가 대한민국이라는 나라에 연평도라는 섬이 있다라는 것도 모르던 사람들이 무진장 많아요. 지도에도 잘 안 보여요. 연평도라는 곳이 지도에도 잘 안 보여요.
But this tiny island is significant in the historical tensions between the North and the South. Yeongpyeong sits on a maritime boundary between the two sides called the Northern Limit Line. The line was drawn up by the US-led United Nations after the Korean War in 1953. Pyongyang does not recognize this Northern Limit Line. Instead, North Korea's territorial claims push past Yeongpyeong.
Well, Yeonpyeong Island is situated very close to the Northern Limit Line, which is the disputed maritime border between the two Koreas. North Koreans don't, especially this year, don't appear to respect that border in the same way they did in the past. It's a convenient location for North Korea, especially to pose a real military threat to South Korea.
What happens in and around Yeongpyeong is perhaps a barometer of the relationship between North and South Korea, a relation which has fluctuated numerous times in the last few decades.
그러나 그 이후에 진보 정권, 예를 들어 김대중 정부, 노무현 정부 이런 또 북한과 화해 협력을 추진했던 정부에서는 국방백서에서 주적이란 표현이 사라집니다. 그러다가 다시 이명박 박근혜 정부 때 이 표현이 등장을 했고, 문재인 정부 때 사라졌다가 다시 윤석열 정부에서는 주적이 등장합니다.
With the recent barrage of missile tests, North Korea's rhetoric towards the South has once again turned belligerent. In various statements issued earlier this year, Pyongyang rejected the possibility of reunification, declared South Korea as the principal enemy, and said that the North will not hesitate to annihilate the South if provoked.
근데 김정은 시대 와서 북한도 이제는 남한이 주적이다, 이렇게 하면서 맞받아치는 양상으로 되어 있습니다.
The joint military exercises between South Korea and the United States have increased in number and scale during the Yoon administration. Now, from North Korea's perspective, this is military threat to Pyongyang, right? And therefore, that they say they are going to conduct missile tests as a way to protect their own national security.
For the residents on Yeonpyeong Island, this means continuing to live on edge.
저희 어머님 같은 경우에도 꽝 소리만 나도 이제 항상 불안해하고, 저희 어머님 같은 경우에도 폭격 맞는 같은 건물에 계셨으니까, 그거는 이제 폭격 이후에 아직도 그때 당시에 계셨던 분들은 아직까지도 심리 상태가 불안한 상태예요. 꽝 소리만 나도 뭐 이러지? 북한에서 포 썼나? 뭐 포탄 떨어졌나? 하는 소리에 항상 그런 걸 느끼고 살아요, 지금.
그런 건 있어요. 오늘도 있을 거예요. 정신과 상담 불안한 거 어떠냐 하면서 안전하다고 느끼지는 못해요. 이게 언제 무슨 일이 있을까 하는 불안한 마음이 항상 있어요.
What is behind the last 2 years of rising tensions on the Korean peninsula? Is it merely bluster? Or is there real teeth backing Kim Jong-un's threats this time? After World War II, Korea was divided into the north, occupied by the Soviets, and the south, occupied by the Americans. The boundary separating the two Koreas is known as the 38th parallel. "88-year-old Yoon Il-yong has lived in Seoul since he was 10. That's when he escaped from his home in North Korea.
그러다가 이제 그 어머니가 이제 견디지를 못해가지고 그 38선 우리 집에서 거리가 한 2km, 3km 될 거예요, 38선이. 거기에 옛날에 주막집이 있었는데 38선, 그게 이제 47년도 3월 달인데 38선을 넘어서 한 500여 미터쯤 왔을 때쯤 해서 그 고향에 대고 크게 그 사배를 올리시고 거기서 대상 통곡을 하시더라고요. 나도 눈물이 나왔지만은 누가 잡으러 오면 어떡하냐고 빨리 가자고 재촉을 했는데 어머니가 몸부림을 치시면서 일어나지를 않으세요. 그래서 이제 한참 동안 있다가 일어나서 나왔지만은 그렇게 우리가 월남을 했습니다.
But the family did eventually escape. Yoon's brother remained in the north. At that time, Yoon thought they will be reunited soon. But the days of waiting rolled into months, then years, and now it's been 7 decades.
나보다 5살 위에 형님이 이산가족인데 북에서 살아 계시겠어요? 그 북이 우리보다 수명이 훨씬 작습니다.
More than 70 years may have passed, but for 85-year-old Lee Yong-ja, her traumatic escape by boat from North Korea still feels fresh. She was 11 when the Korean War began in 1950.
그렇게 폭탄이 떨어지고 막 전쟁이 막 심해지고 이러니까 거기 갈 수도 없고 그래서 그냥 집은 몽땅 폭탄에 맞았지 가진 것도 없지 나만 그 보트를 탔잖아요 작은 보트를 그래갖고 어디로 가는지도 모르는데 이제 가서 큰 배에다 실어줬는데 우리 부모 형제는 다 그다음에 어디로 가는지 거기서 이제 헤어지고 모르지.
But there was a happy ending for Lee. Her anxious parents had waited daily at Busan port and eventually found her. Though, as far as Lee knows, her two older brothers never made it out.
우리 오빠들이 북한에는 또 이렇게 헐벗고 굶주리기도 하지만 이제 나이가 많아서 다 갔을 것 같아요.
As of January 2024, there are over 39,000 people living in South Korea whose families were separated by the war. This is a number that continues to decline. By now, over 70% of South Koreans who registered as having family in the north have died. Since the Inter-Korean Summit in 2000, South and North Korea organized 20 reunions for the separated families. The last reunion was in 2018. The same year that Kim Jong-un met his then South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in. This bonhomie would vanish after the 2019 Trump-Kim summit in Hanoi. The meeting was brokered by Moon.
Kim Jong-un went to Hanoi confident he would get a deal from Trump. It didn't work out. And I think Kim Jong-un was very emotional about that and deeply resented President Moon following Hanoi. And I think the lesson Kim Jong-un learned is that at this point in history, there is no South Korean president, be they left or right, can really actually help Pyongyang's interests in any meaningful way.
Inter-Korean relations have deteriorated since. This January, Kim declared he's no longer interested in the goal of reunification. He ordered the demolition of the 100-foot-tall arch of reunification in Pyongyang. The monument was unveiled in August 2001 by his father, Kim Jong-il, to commemorate Korean reunification proposals.
So when Kim Jong-un says, I'm not interested in national unification anymore, all he's doing is bringing North Korea's policy goal in alignment with the prevailing reality. Ever since the two Koreas began to diverge in terms of socio-economic development and conventional weapons capabilities, the realization of national unification has become more or less a mission impossible for Pyongyang.
그런데 이제 북한이 새해 들어서 통일을 부정하고 나오고 있습니다. 심지어는 남북한이 동족 관계가 아니고 두 개의 적대적인 국가 관계다 이런 이야기도 하고 있습니다. 그리고 특히 이 남북 관계를 적대적이다 이 적대성을 강조하는 것은 북한이 내부적으로 경제난 식량 때문에 생기고 있는 그 민심 이반을 외부로 돌리기 위한 그런 목적도 있다 이렇게 보입니다. 또한 이 적대성을 강조한다고 하는 것은 북한이 자원을 왜곡해서 핵과 미사일을 개발하는 그런 것들을 정당화시키기 위한 그런 목적도 있다 이렇게 보입니다.
Kim Jong-un would take the rhetoric further.
We are now seeing North Korea since January announce that South Korea is the enemy state and that it has abandoned all hopes of peaceful reunification, etc. So there's big changes going on, and it is worrying seeing all these newspaper articles coming out from North Korea with photos of Kim Jong-un adjacent to maps of South Korea or maps of Seoul. You wonder if it's just propaganda or if there's a real long-term military intent behind that.
At the same time, South Korea's stance towards the North has also changed. In the 2022 presidential election, Yoon Suk-yeol won 48.6% of the votes. His opponent, Lee Jae-myung from the incumbent, received 47.8% of the vote. Yoon's victory was the closest margin in South Korean history. He would depart from his predecessor's posture, instead taking a hard line against the North.
Because Yoon perceived that Moon's policy towards North Korea to be too lenient and too concessionary without making any progress on the denuclearization issue.
Even while campaigning, President Yoon had made his hawkishness clear. He floated the idea of a preemptive strike on the North.
선제타격 이야기한다면 우리도 선제타격 이야기할 수밖에 없다. 남측에서 주적이라고 이야기한다면 우리도 주적 이야기할게. 그렇게 맞불을 놓았죠. 그래서 이렇게 된 거예요.
Yoon would continue to take a strong stance against the North after his victory. For one, he would step up military cooperation with the US and Japan.
지난해 365일 중에 한미일 군사훈련이 총 245일이었습니다. 최고 역대급 최고 많았습니다.
그러니까 북한이 군사적인 도발을 하고 또 그렇게 위협을 한다고 할 경우에 우리가 거기에 대응할 수 있는 방법은 두 가지가 있다고 생각이 됩니다. 북한의 그런 해법과 위협에 굴복하는 유화 정책이 있을 수가 있고 그렇게 해서는 평화를 유지할 수 없다 이런 생각을 합니다. 그렇기 때문에 우리가 북한의 그런 위협에 대해서 확고한 억제 체제를 구축을 하고 북한이 대화 외에는 다른 길이 있을 수가 없다 이런 생각을 갖게 하는 것이 이 북핵 문제라든지 또 북한과 한국과 또 북한과 국제사회와의 어떤 대화를 만들 수 있는 그런 여건이 된다고 생각을 합니다.
So, what we are seeing in the Korean Peninsula could be a case of one-upmanship between the North and the South.
So if South Korea, for example, adopts more conciliatory and engagement policy towards North Korea is going to be better behaving, right, towards South Korea. But if that sort of negotiation and engagement does not come from South Korea, then North Korea is going to increase its aggressiveness towards South Korea. So as you know that currently we have a conservative government in South Korea, and it's not surprising that as a result, North Korea has increased its belligerent rhetoric and behavior towards Seoul.
Meanwhile, it's a Friday afternoon in Seoul. A number of North Korean defectors hold their regular meetings at the North Korean Refugee Human Rights Association. These defectors have a unique perspective on the matter. Though no reunification means never again seeing the families they left behind, these defectors support President Yoon's hard-nosed tactics.
계속 북한을 올리기 식으로 하면은 걔네가 그 순간 올린 거 같아 올리지 않는 거 있죠. 걔네 꿍꿍이는 아마 대화를 하면서도 그 대화장에서도 벌써 속은 딴 데 가 있을 거예요. 우리가 이제 너무 섞여 살아가지고.
저는 100% 동의합니다. 동의 안 할 때는 대한민국은 김정은이가 여기 와서 통치하라는 거하고 같은 거기 때문에.
And despite Kim's stance, the South Korean government has not closed the door on reunification.
정부는 북한과 대화의 문을 열어놓고 있다 하는 그 점을 수차례 지금 이야기를 하고 있습니다. 그래서 통일부가 그동안 이 변화된 국제정세라든지 또 북한의 인권 문제라든지 또 북한 핵 문제라든지 이런 변화를 고려를 해서 새로운 통일 비전을 마련하고 또 헌법적 책무인 통일을 추진하기 위해서 많은 노력을 하고 있습니다.
정말 남한하고 잘 이렇게 해가지고 같이 잘 살면 좋겠다는 그런 생각으로 정말 사랑으로 그렇게 화합하는 길을 열어야지. 그래서 통일은 꼭 돼야 된다 생각하고.
But is Kim Jong-un's saber rattling meant to be heard by an audience outside of South Korea? Is he playing to the world's superpowers? What is driving the flurry of missile tests by Pyongyang could be a conflict 7,000 kilometers away. It's been more than 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24, 2022. But last December, something unusual was found on the battlefields.
Ця ракета, вона схожа на одну з північно-корейських ракет. Конкретну модель я називати не буду, але дійсно за ті інформації, яка є в мережі інтернет, ті фото, які на парадах були виставлені в північно-корейських парадах, за соплами, за задньою частиною цієї ракети, вона дуже схожа.
If true, the missile debris is evidence that North Korea has been supplying arms to Russia. Ukraine's security forces claim that Russia has fired at least 20 North Korean missiles.
그다음에 러시아 쪽에는 북한의 이스칸데르 미사일 이걸 이제 우리는 KN-23이라고 넘버가 돼 있는데 이 미사일의 경우는 실전에서 사용됐을 가능성이 매우 높아 보이고요.
Russia denies this vigorously, but the evidence keeps building up in the open source that there is a huge amount of trade between North Korea and Russia via train, via aircraft, and via maritime. So I think probably it's true that North Korean munitions are being sold at large scale to Russia.
This satellite image, provided by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, shows a probable view of cargo ship Angara in the North Korean port of Najin and bound for Russia. Just 4 months before this discovery, in September 2023, Kim Jong-un arrived in the Russian far eastern region of Amur at the invitation of President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders met at the Vostochny Cosmodrome, Russia's newest spaceport, which opened in 2016. Photos from the visit showed that Kim was likely accompanied by arms industry officials, sparking international concerns that the trip to Amur was to strike an arms deal.
I think an interesting development has been close cooperation between Russia and North Korea. And this is the convergence of mutual interest. So Russia, despite its claim of being a great power, cannot supply its own weapons for its war effort in Ukraine. And North Korea has a lot of stockpile of bullets and ammunition that Russia needs.
Then, on April 3rd, it was reported that Seoul has detained a 3,000-ton ship sailing from North Korea and believed to be headed to Russia. Its cargo, allegedly North Korean arms headed for Russia in violation of UN sanctions.
From North Korea's perspective, it earns hard foreign currency, and at the same time, it can try to get satellite and space technology from Russia. And this is one aspect of military capabilities that North Korean government wants to improve in the near future. And this is where Russia can come in and help North Korea.
North Korean weapons have allegedly popped up elsewhere. The Israel Defense Forces found traces of North Korean arms being used by Hamas in the war in Gaza. The Israelis has also long suspected that Hezbollah, a militant group in Lebanon, possess North Korean arms.
북한이 주로 옛날에 이란하고 군사협력을 많이 했습니다. 그러다 보니까 비록 북한이 헤즈볼라 같은 세력에 직접 무기를 공급했지 않았다 할지라도 몇 단계 우회 경로를 거쳐서 특히 이란 쪽을 거쳐가지고 헤즈볼라 전사들에게 공급됐을 가능성이 있다. 그 중에서 이제 북한의 그 RPG-7이라고 하는 대전차 로켓포 같은 경우 실제로 지금 이스라엘, 가자, 헤즈볼라나 예멘에서 주로 사용되는 무기거든요.
So wherever there is major international conflict, North Korea moves in and does business. And this is one key aspect of North Korea generating its source of income.
Could the battery of weapons tests be meant to parade North Korea's arsenal to prospective buyers?
이것은 자체 안보에 관한 문제이기도 합니다만은 무기를 수출할 수 있는 일종의 마케팅이기도 합니다. 그래서 전 세계에 북한의 군사 능력을 과시한다. 그래서 위신과 영향력을 높이고 더 나아가선 무기를 해외에 공급할 수도 있는 능력을 노리는 것이 아닌가 생각이 됩니다.
Long-standing UN sanctions has hurt the North Korean economy. Then, when the global pandemic hit, it hit North Korea hard.
By the way, North Korea was the first country to close borders with China when the COVID broke out.
Trade with China, its largest economic partner, declined by more than 80%. China is responsible for about 90% of North Korea's trade.
North Korea's economy has always been too reliant on the Chinese economy in terms of trade, in terms of economic aid and assistance. During the COVID, the bilateral trade between North Korea and China dropped significantly. And now North Korea wants to diversify its trade partners, and Russia becomes a useful partner in this regard.
So, 4 years after shutting its borders, Kim Jong-un's first foreign visit was not to China. Surprisingly, he headed to Russia instead.
예, 그런데 이제 작년에 물론 북한의 선전자령이 나겠습니다만은 그 북한 경제가 2% 이상 성장한 것으로 일단 발표가 됐는데 역시 러시아라는 뒷배가 큰 역할을 했다는 것이죠. 우선 그 시베리아 지역에 북한의 벌목공이 대규모로 가 있는데 아직 본국으로 철수하지가 않았습니다. 지난 코로나 팬데믹 당시에 귀국을 하려고 해도 할 수가 없었다는 사정이 오히려 역으로 작용해서 그래서 그 외화벌이가 계속되고 있고 그다음에 이번에 북한과 러시아가 밀착되면서 에너지와 농업 협력이 상당히 활성화된 것으로.
On China's part, Beijing has been keeping North Korea at some distance.
When Xi Jinping took over power, Chinese government was not very conciliatory towards North Korea. In fact, Xi Jinping did not bother to meet with Kim Jong-un at all until Trump decided to hold meetings with Kim Jong-un. That's when Chinese government suddenly became interested in North Korea, making sure that North Korea does not move closer to the United States. And now, because the United States doesn't show any interest in North Korea, China also lost interest in North Korea.
So, by having something Russia needs, arms, it gives Kim more cards to play in relations with Beijing and Moscow.
When the economic aid from China was not forthcoming for North Korea so easily, then North Korea goes to Moscow and develops its relationship with Russia as a way to create pressure on China, telling Beijing that we have other options, other than you. So North Korea is improving its ties with Russia as a way to create strategic policy autonomy with regard to China.
I think China may be a little bit uncomfortable with how Russia and North Korean relations have been evolving because it does prioritize stability in its neighborhood and would probably prefer North Korea not to have nuclear weapons.
And perhaps the strategy is working. In April, Zhao Lezi, the third-ranking member in the Communist Party hierarchy, called on Kim in Pyongyang. he's the most senior Chinese official to do so in years.
Well, we've just seen China's political number 3 visit North Korea. I think we could be seeing signs that North Korea and China are ready to sort of engage each other at higher levels.
So, what does this all mean for tensions in the Korean Peninsula? What happens next could depend on a couple of important elections. How will tensions in the Korean Peninsula play out in the coming months? That may well hinge on the domestic politics of key players, the US, Japan, and South Korea. In mid-April, President Yoon's Conservative People's Power Party was trounced at the National Assembly election. South Korea's leading opposition party, the Democratic Party, picked up an additional 19 seats, improving on its majority in the 300-seat parliament. This election was touted as a referendum of Yoon's performance as president.
He, I think, has just maybe approached his presidency like a prosecutor who thinks of a very legalistic system in which there's always a legal means to respond. I understand why people would be angry and upset with his leadership style.
Yoon's hard-nosed governing style extended to foreign policy, where he took a tough stance on North Korea. This opened him to critique from the opposition.
The progressives in South Korea, who have always favored negotiation and engagement and dialogue with North Korea, will increasingly criticize President Yoon's North Korea policy. It's for sure that he will come under greater domestic political pressure to change his North Korea policy.
In his first 2 years in charge, President Yoon made closer ties with the US and Japan the cornerstone of his North Korea policy. A trilateral meeting at Camp David Summit in August 2023 was touted as historic. But historically, South Korea and Japan share an uneasy relationship. South Korea was once colonized by the Japanese. So, Yoon's friendliness with Japan's Fumio Kishida became another avenue for opponents to attack him. Such as when his administration signed off on the release of Fukushima's wastewater.
근데 그 굴욕은 그쪽 세력만 굴욕적인 게 아니라 대한민국 국민 전체를 굉장히 굴욕적인 그런 위치로 이렇게 만들어버리는 거에 대해서는 이해하기 어렵다고 생각하는 거죠.
I always find it that Japan-Korea relations are abused by political leaders on both sides, but I've never really understood how much of a role it plays in domestic politics, like whether people would pick one leader over another or one presidential candidate over another based on Japan issues. I don't know.
Nonetheless, on Kishida's part, his North Korean strategy differs from Yoon. The Japanese Prime Minister had previously said he was willing to meet Kim without any conditions. In January, Kim Jong-un sent a message of sympathy to Kishida over the earthquake that struck Japan on New Year's Day. A rare move between the two countries with no diplomatic ties. Then in February, Kim Jong-un's powerful sister, Kim Jo-young, said the regime was open to improving relationships with Japan and even invited Kishida to Pyongyang. In contrast to Yoon's refusal to engage with North Korea, a Kishida-Kim summit could be on the cards.
이 동아시아 정치에 있어서 일본이 하나의 지도국, 주도국으로 가기 위해서 이 빈 공백을 자기가 먼저 나서서 개척하는 어떤 중견 대국으로서의 그 어떤 국가의 본성이다. 이렇게 할 수가 있겠고, 또 일본은 어쨌든지 간에 자기 본토를 노골적으로 위협하는 세력은 북한밖에 없습니다. 그 위협을 관리해야 되는 것이죠. 이것도 국가의 책무.
So there are a number of Japanese nationals that have been kidnapped by North Korean regime, and if Kishida makes progress right, on that issue, then his popularity will go up. But very recently, North Korean government came out and said one of the preconditions for holding a summit meeting between Japanese Prime Minister and North Korean leader is that the kidnapping issue is off the agenda. Now, I think this is a way for North Koreans to telling the Japanese counterparts, you have to give us more concessions if you want to hold summit meeting. And that means economic aid, right, and assistance. And this is, right now the ball is in the Japanese court.
Should Japan make headway with North Korea, the question then is whether it will undermine Yoon's position.
북한, 일본이 마쿠 대화를 통해서 갑자기 전격적으로 결정할 가능성이 높습니다. 그럴 때는 우리가 오히려 일본의 뒤를 쫓아가야 되는 대한민국으로서 매우 불리한 처지에 놓이게 되죠.
I don't think so. I think if right now there is hardly any communication between the United States and South Korea on the one hand and North Korea on the other. So if Kishida visits North Korea and senses what's really going on in North Korea, what interest Kim Jong-un have with the outside world, I think that's actually going to be good for South Korea and the United States.
제가 분명하게 이제 말씀드리고 싶은 것은 정부는 북한이 미국과 일본 그리고 EU 등 국가들과 관계를 개선하는데 반대하지 않습니다. 그러니까 북한과 이 다른 국가들과의 관계 개선이라는 것이 한반도 평화와 북핵 문제 해결에 도움이 된다고 한다면 정부도 거기에 전혀 반대할 이유가 없다 이런 생각을 갖고 있습니다.
Then there is the elephant in the room, the US presidential election in November. It will see a rematch between Democrat President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump. Thus far, President Biden has not engaged North Korea in any meaningful way.
If Biden remains in power come November 2024, this will mean the continuation of what we've seen so far in the last 2 or 3 years. And that means North Korea will continue with its brinkmanship diplomacy of increasing military tensions on the Korean Peninsula as a means to draw attention, especially the US attention to North Korea.
On the other hand, Donald Trump shared a warm relationship with Kim Jong-un. They met twice at the Singapore and Hanoi summits. The former president was also effusive in his praise of the North Korean leader.
He likes me, I like him, we get along.
During the last Trump administration, there was a flurry of diplomatic activities involving North Korea. And therefore, Kim Jong-un probably will initiate on hopes for that major diplomatic engagement with the United States if Trump comes back to presidency.
There's a big risk with a Trump comeback that a lot of Yoon's foreign policy efforts with the US could be undermined. He may decide to sidestep South Korea entirely and return to direct diplomacy, which I think Yoon would probably be very worried about.
As election season picks up steam in the US, how it unfolds could shape the strategic calculus in the Korean Peninsula. Some analysts believe the Hermit Kingdom is gearing up for a 7th nuclear test.
지금 북한이 ICBM 화성 18형을 발사한 목표가 어떤 미국을 향한 신호라고 할 수 있겠고, 미국 대선 전에 판을 벌려서 그 압박감을 강요하는 것이죠. 이렇게 되면은 이것이 언젠가는 또 대화의 하나의 어떤 기폭제가 될 수도 있는 상황이기 때문에 북한은 미국 대선이 가까울수록 전략적 위협을 가할 것이다.
I think there is a possibility that Kim may see a window of opportunity until the election during which he can really push the missile testing and military activities to get the Korean issue back on the priority list of the US electorate. It's been overlooked now for 4 years, more or less.
Spring has arrived. Soon, the season for fishing the famous blue crab will begin. Uncertain when missiles will next fly overhead, the residents of Yongpyong take each day at a time, uncowed by the hostility.
난 그거는 아니라고 봐요. 그래서 나는 뭐 정치가 잘한다 못한다라고는 말하기에는 좀 그래요.
그 생활 기반이 여기 다 있으니까 금방 떠나게 되지는 않더라고요.
저는 떠날 생각 없어요. 여기 불안하다고 해서 뭐 군인들만 남겨놓고 떠난다는 건 말이 안 되고, 내가 죽는 한이 있더라도 그 대신 여기에서 지켜야 된다고 생각을 하거든요.
But for some, like Yoon Il-yong, time is no longer on his side in the long wait for peace.
아유, 어서 남북 관계가 좋아져가지고 고향에나 한번 가보고 와서 죽었으면 한이 없겠어. 이게 이제 나이 먹은 사람들의 그 개탄 섞인 그리운 고향에 대한 애절한 마음.